Hey guys, Shadow the Oblivious here. Today is a very special day in particular. It has to pertain with the film Back to the Future 2. That's right, it's October 21st, 2015. The date Marty McFly, Dr. Emmett L. Brown, and Jennifer travel to in the film. Basically, the film is the past predicting the future, which is now, today, the present. Today I have a very special guest with me, live via cell phone, my good friend, MrSevenDeadlySins. Say hello, buddy.
Hello,
everyone. Well, today we are actually going to discuss some of the events predicted within the film, as well as what is actually currently going on here in the present, which is, well, as the film predicted, the future. But yeah, you get the whole time, space, whatever. Anyways, so, in the film, they predicted, one particular topic that I wanted to, get out of the way is the Cubs winning the World Series. That hasn't happened yet, although they are kind of poised to win. Also, thanks to James Rolfe's video on this, I learned that the film also predicted the existence of the team that they were going to face. Because at the time, this particular team that the Cubs were going to face didn't exist. So, well, here's hoping. Go Cubs, even though I'm not really a fan. But, what's your opinion on that?
Well, honestly, I've really got none because I'm not much of a sports guy. I didn't really follow it. So, unfortunately, I don't know the whole plight of the Cubs or, whether or not they'll win. But, hey, if the Red Sox can at least finally achieve one big win, why not Chicago?
Exactly. That's pretty much my opinion as well. If the Sox can break the curse of the Bambino, why not the Cubs?
Yeah.
So, well, another thing that is brought up in the film, technology-wise, is the fact of hoverboards. Hoverboards are actually, surprisingly, in the prototype stage right now. There's two companies that are working on them. I forgot the name, or no. I remember the names now. One is Lexus, is actually developing one, and the other is a company called Hendo that is developing one. Both of them, however, the technology exists technically and everything, but they don't really, per se, hover like in the film. It's more like about an inch off the ground or something like that. And I'm actually hearing that they can only, technically hover over metal. Not like every surface or not like in the film, except over water unless you have power. But, yeah. So, MrSevenDeadlySins, what's your take on that?
Well, first, I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised they're actually creating this at long last. And granted, technically it does hover, but it doesn't really hover. It's not basically like a skateboard without wheels. It's not like in the film, but at least they're trying it. I'm quite surprised to know who's actually developing it. And although personally, and yeah, I know everybody, the neighbor kids, they wanted a hoverboard. Even I admit I wanted one, but of course they were made up, like that little fake rumor they created at the time. Although personally, myself, I think hoverboard's nice. I would really want that Mr. Fusion.
Yeah, that's another bit of technology, that Mr. Fusion engine, or fuel converter in the film. Yeah, we don't have anything technically like that. That's just purely fiction these days. But yeah, if something like that existed, that would be bitchin', and I would fucking want something like that too.
Everybody.
Another thing that is currently in development by Nike, well, I'm kind of on the fence about it, is literally they are currently in development of the self-tying or self-lacing shoes. But recently, in a limited supply and, quantity or whatever, they recently released shoes that look like the ones in the film.
I know. I actually did see on Facebook right now. There is an actual video of Michael J. Scott trying on a pair of these. It's only like maybe a minute and a half, but still, it's kind of a little, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're not the actual technology or whatever, but my idea, well, I've kind of formulated what possibly Nike's developmental process could be based on for self-lacing shoes, and that's probably the technology that that basically electronic motors, small electronic motors that would coil up or retract or whatever the laces to pull them tight, and then on command or electronic impulse or signal, release and let it go slack again.
Yeah.
But so technically, yeah, that is in development. And then there's actually some stuff in the film that is actually 100% factual reality in this day and age. We have these huge, high-definition, widescreen televisions. They exist. We have smartphones. We have computer technology, video calls. Hey, Skype or Google Hangouts chat or whatever. We actually have that. That's as real as that shit fucking gets, man.
Well, hey, you have to remember the original prototype of the cell phone was, or the guy who came up with the idea for cell phones was inspired by an old episode of Star Trek, or the original Star Trek, because of the communicators. And that was where the whole flip phone came from. And as technology's gone on, now instead of having to go to a library or have a PC or laptop, you can still, enjoy all the little luxuries of a computer, but in a much more compact form.
Exactly. The cell phone has evolved these days into a personal computer in the palm of your hand. Although they still have limitations, they are still very powerful.
Indeed. Although there is one thing I did want to point out that, because I'm actually, as we I'm actually watching the film right now, and there was one scene from the 2015 part of the film when Marty's at the Cafe 80, and those two little boys are hovering around that old console of Wild Gunman.
Yes, the Wild Gunman arcade machine.
Yeah, well, Marty shows them how it's done, and one of the kids say, "You have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy." Which I think is funny because, well, one of the little technological advances, video game-wise, is the Wii controller.
Well, technically, you're still using your hands, though. And even with the Xbox Kinect, you're still technically using your hands. I mean, you're not touching anything, really, but still, by a technicality, you are using your hands.
Yeah, but I always thought it was kind of funny because at that time, I always figured those type of controllers were only limited to the old arcade console cabinet. I never thought there would actually be a controller where you actually could, like, swing with it in your hand, and the character in whatever game actually moves with it. Or, for example, a first-person kind of game where you character has a sword, you swipe, the sword swipes in the same pattern.
Exactly. I do want to bring up, even though it never actually got past the prototype stage, Atari was actually trying to work on something called the Mind Link, where literally you would have this thing on your head and, you would play a video game that way. It would, like, link into your mind. But then again, you have to think about it as, like literally, just picture this. I mean, picture if that did actually exist and that actually came out, what would that look like? Like, oh, you're playing a little video game there, Billy? Yeah, I'm just moving my head here. Looking like I'm having a fucking retarded seizure. But that's all the Mind Link ever became, is just prototypes and development. So that never came out.
Well, to me, I always thought it was kind of crazy that back then, that kind of technology of a controller where you use your hands, not just a simple A, B button.
Yeah.
For me, so the idea of a controller where you do literally get to, like, a motion controller is basically what it is, but
yeah,
I always just thought that was sort of pretty fascinating that now in the year 20, I don't remember what year Wii came out, but know that kind of technology sort of exists. A motion capture control panel, and also, of course, the Kinect is not just moving your hands, but also your body. As an example, any Just Dance game you can think of.
Or another good example of similar technology that wasn't available originally to, every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there on the street. I speak, of course, of mocap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the similar concept or whatever to mocap. But, yeah. Let's see. Moving on. One thing that, that I honestly noticed again and again in the film is the fact that phone booths, yeah, you do not see those anymore. Those are an obsolete technology. However, let me level with you. I'm going to be really serious. I'm not joking, and I'm not being a smartass when I say this. Yes, we should make that technology unobsolete, and we should make an updated version of the phone booth, because cell phones are not fail-proof. I mean, what if you're in an emergency in the middle of friggin' nowhere and you need to, like, call 911 and your phone ain't working? Seriously,
Well, that's
people,
also
band
what
together, bring back phone booths.
that's what also the highway call boxes are for, but me, you gotta live with or without phone booths. I mean, it's a nice, well, I'm actually surprised because watching it again, I haven't seen this movie in years, so this is like the first time in maybe 4 years that I've seen the film. So it's kind of funny to see how their version of 2015 and ours is, well, first off, we don't direct like, something out of a sci-fi novel or nobody.
Yeah, I believe that's because these were made in the 80s, and in the 80s our style of dress was wild and out there and very colorful and everything. And so I guess what the filmmakers and the writers were thinking is probably like, well, in the future this kind of style is just going to continue on and it's only going to get crazier.
Yeah, that's true, but also you have to remember that this future is always seems, well, this one's more of a brighter future as opposed to like dystopian kind you got like best example Blade Runner. How
Yeah.
everything's dark, gritty, rain constantly. It's not the kind of future you want, but this one was a
Yeah.
more lighter version.
Another example, video game wise, is the world of Neo Kobe in Snatcher for the Sega CD. Yeah, I'll probably add a little annotation or a little caption that says my feelings on that game and how it's just. You'll see.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Here's something else that I have to point out. So, one thing that's very obvious in the film and even today is our deep love of nostalgia. Examples, the Cafe 80s. It's a cafe that's devoted to the 1980s. And there's also at one store, I finally saw the name of the store, Blast from the Past, where, of course, Marty got the sports almanac that caused all the shit to happen.
Yeah.
But one thing I do notice a lot about today is that, well, for some of us who were kids of the 80s and 90s, that sense of nostalgia is very apparent today. In that, in the film, they treat it like, showing like all those. One of the things I noticed in the window are an old computer, an old 6-pack of Perrier water, a Roger Rabbit plush toy. One of the things that I just thought nowadays, a mint condition copy of Jaws for the NES.
Oh god, yeah, the shitty LJN game. Okay, actually, I should kind of take that back because, okay, at the time and for the longest time, I thought Jaws was just a crappy game. Well, it's not per se a crappy game. My opinion has changed on it somewhat over time now, and I've learned to appreciate it a little bit. It's basically it's what they had to work with technological limitations and all that. And honestly, it's not that bad of a game. It's not absolute shit. It is pretty boring and it is pretty tedious and it's a lot of grinding before you can actually defeat Jaws. But honestly, I do take back previous statements that I have made throughout my lifetime that Jaws on the NES is absolute shit. I take it back. It's not absolute shit. It's just a flawed mediocre game.
Well, the other thing I want to point out is that, of course, the reasons for the Roger Rabbit plush toy and the NES Jaws museum still, well, the mechas, directed Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and this was around the same year that Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out, in 1989.
Yeah.
And, of course, Spielberg was, the executive producer for the Back to the Future film. So I guess they kind of stuck that in along with that little Jaws 19 thing. And if you notice it says directed by Max Spielberg, which I guess supposed to be Steven Spielberg's future son.
Mm-hmm.
The whole nod was that, Spielberg retired or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the tagline for it is, this time it's really, really personal. It's just something, little kind of like how in The Simpsons, there's little sight gags and whatnot that you have to.
Yeah, that was one of the penultimate jokes or little sight gags within the film that just also you have to think at the time they were still putting out Jaws sequels, so that's kind of like a nudge that this is going to go on forever and ever. But unfortunately, they didn't foresee that, it wouldn't go on and on. I mean, it got up to about 4, and that was it.
Yeah. Anyways, what else have I? Well, I can't really think of anything else that, similarities, differences between the technology that was shown in the film or now. Mostly what I can kind of bring to this is my favorite moment from the film itself. One, the whole future sequence is still, it's dated now, but it's still impressive. Second is the Hell Valley sequence, which I'm sure kind of scared a few of the kids back then. That sense of seeing this one perfect little suburban California town reduced to looks like something out of a Mad Max film.
Yeah, a dystopian destroyed wasteland.
Also the fact that this is all powerful, his goons are now even more nastier. His dad's been murdered. It's like this whole horrible everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. And there was actually on the DVD, and I'm sure Blu-ray's got it too, there was a deleted scene where Marty does run into his older brother Dave, who is now a hobo outside the street.
Yes, that is in the Blu-ray. I have actually seen the Blu-ray at a friend's house. I actually did see that deleted scene where his older brother Dave is now a freaking hobo.
Yeah, and also, this was on the documentary that is part of the box set. When they talked about part 2, there was another scene that didn't even get shot. It was where Marty sees his sister, and she's a hooker. It got canned because the actress who plays Marty's sister was pregnant at the time, so they couldn't get her back, so the whole idea was scrapped. I thought it was a nice little nod to show just how far or how bad things have gotten because of old Biff giving young Biff the almanac, which changed everything for the worse.
Exactly. Everything just went right down the shit chute. But,
and also, you have to point out that originally, after the future statement, you'd have to go back to the original, to the documentary, but there was an idea that the kids wanted, they figured, well, we did the 50s, how about the 60s? They were actually going to shoot it and have it, take place in 1965, or during, it'd be George was a college professor, what's his mom, Lorraine?
Yes, Lorraine.
Yeah, Lorraine was going to be a anti-Vietnam activist. It was like this whole crazy different thing, but what stopped it completely was Kristen Glover, who played George in the first film. Well, by then he was already kind of getting a bit more popular, a bigger star at that time. He wanted more money. They couldn't provide it. He said, fine then, I'm out of here. And that caused them to go back and rewrite the whole story to create the Hell Valley sequence, the idea of killing off George. Of course, we do see him in the future segment, but he's played by a different actor altogether under old man makeup. And that also gave me the idea, like, what if we go back to the first film, but we shoot it from this Marty's point of view? So we get all these different sequences of scenes from the first film, but seen from the angles of both Marty and even Doc when he gets to encounter his 1955 self. I always, I don't know how that other version would have come out, but I'm glad for this version. And plus, it gets to see my favorite moment yet again. This will be for my favorite moment from the first film, which George stands up to and knocks him the fuck out.
Oh, yes. The fucking clean clocking scene.
That will forever be my favorite moment. And I'm not going to lie, a few times I've seen it, I've teared up a little. It's kind of a great moment to see him, stands up for himself, stands up to the biggest tormentor ever and prove to him that he's no wimp.
Exactly. I mean, I myself, in my past, have had times where I had to stand up to my greatest tormentor. I speak, of course, I don't know if he's still around, still alive, nor do I really care to know if he's still around or still alive, because the guy was a jerk. But I stood up to David Hernandez when I was still a kid. That guy tormented me and tormented me. He was my good friend James's brother and lived right across from us where we were living at the time in my hometown of Hollister, California. And that kid, just something wasn't right with him. He would torment me and tease me and torture me and make fun of me and make other people laugh at me and humiliate me. So finally, I came after him, jumped on his back, and beat the poop out of him. Literally, I jumped on his back, got right on his head, started bopping the hell out of him. He went down like a sack of crap, and I started kicking him. It took my mom to pull me off and stop this. However, you know what my dad responded later to his father? Your kid shouldn't have antagonized my son. Next time, I won't pull the boy off. Yeah. And he was proud of me that I stood up to my tormentor and showed him, enough's enough. You're not going to bully me or tease me or make me humiliated in front of everyone ever again. I'm not proud of it, per se, but I stood my ground and I handled my business. So I can actually relate to that part of the first film where Marty's father finally stands up to Biff. Well, anyways, before things draw on too long, I wanted to bring up one last thing, technology-wise, that we see in the, or, well, maybe a couple more things technology-wise that we do see in the film that are either they're a reality now or they're completely obsolete and have been forever.
Okay, shoot.
One of the things I wanted to bring up was the fax machine with the you're fired and there's like a fax machine even in the closet and everything. Yeah, the fax machine has been outdated for a long time now. I mean, we still use faxes somewhat here and there in office buildings, but really now everybody does emails or Skype or even, Google Hangouts chat or whatever, or they do like a video conference for meetings. Nobody really does faxes anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of a dying thing. The same with phone booths or payphones.
Yeah.
Although, there is one piece of technology I do find kind of trippy from the film. The idea of that instead of a doorknob, you have a small little plate you put your thumb to get into your house.
Yeah, that kind of technology actually kind of sort of does exist now. I mean, you don't use a key or a doorknob to get in the house. That technically is sort of a thing with smartphones and like applications like you just put your thumb on it or whatever, or you know or you just press like a button on your touch screen for the application and it'll like automatically bill something from your credit card or your debit card, whichever. Yeah, I don't have a credit card, guys. I'm broke. I'm a cheap motherfucker. Yeah, that sort of thing is technically sort of a thing. And I mean, we do have retinal scanners and we do have facial recognition scanner software. And we do have thumbprint scanners as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Anyways, let's see. What else can I tell you about? Well, I guess the other thing to bring up is that I'm still surprised that this movie, the whole trilogy is one of those things that, it's still going to be around. People will still talk about it. But I do like the idea that everybody today has brought it up the most. And well, you have to realize that as a kid, these were the kind of movies that I was drawn to. Of course, as I've gotten older, my taste has changed to more get more serious stuff. But I can still appreciate these films from time to time.
Exactly. I mean, we constantly grow and change all through our lives. I mean, our preferences and our tastes change. But still to this day, these films are still relevant. It's amazing.
Yeah. And there are a lot of things that happened over the years. Well, let's see. There, of course, the cast got older. Every time the cast got older, so the direct, the makers did go on to bigger and better things. And then by this time, of course, now he's like one of the most well-known directors out there. And, a lot of other stuff. Just Michael J. Fox has been on and off acting. Of course, after this came a few other films. One of my personal favorites he did during the 90s was The Frighteners. And
yes.
Spin City.
Spin City seems...
Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Spin City was like kind of like the last thing he did before his Parkinson's really started going to town on him, and then he handed the role off to Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, it was sketchy for the time, but let's see. Leah Thompson is still around. She still does acting from time to time. Christopher Lloyd's still around. Only actor I know who had retired completely from acting was Tom. I forget his name. Thomas F. Wilson. I could be saying that wrong, but the actor played this. The last thing I remember he was in was the show Freaks and Geeks, where he played the gym teacher, but that only lasted one season, and then over time he did kind of walk away from Hollywood. So
Yeah, he is technically the only cast member that ever just completely said, "Okay, I'm done. That's it. Here's the towel. Done."
oh, there is one thing that wasn't even in the first movie. Okay, there's one little plot hole to me that I always kind of I never could understand. I guess this was originally in the original screenplay, but the idea of that Marty even kind of had his own kind of myth in a way in the form of Needles, who was played by Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Lee. Of course, the character didn't make an appearance until part 2 in the future segment, but the whole idea of that he had his own little pain in the ass nemesis, and that the whole "no one calls me chicken" thing didn't come around until part 2.
Exactly.
I always thought that it was it's brought up in part 2, and even gets brought up in part 3, except they say, "What's the matter? That's what you yeller."
Yeah.
But anyways, that was just something I always thought, like, when did that happen? At what point in the first film did that happen? And how come there's no deleted scene for it? I guess it was just something they wanted to throw in as give Marty a kind of weakness.
Yeah.
A little kryptonite, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyways, I pretty much, I just want to wrap things up here with one last technological mention that, yeah, it's technically the technology exists. I mean, it's a prototype or whatever, but the flying car, yeah. Technically, a company developed one, but it's not like anything you would actually think, you know? It actually has like wings that actually like extend or retract or whatever, and it's like a plane and car hybrid, but it's still in the prototype and everything, and it's just really, but really, if it did exist, if it wasn't just, a, excuse my, description of it, but piss poor prototype and, fever dream of a lunatic, would you actually want one?
Well, if it's these days, I think everybody's big thing is more a fuel efficient car rather than I mean, flashy cars will always be around, but I want something that, all the energy efficiency of a Prius, but without the fact that you're driving a Prius.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go test there. I think it's called Tesla. That really does like electric cars, but they're actually nice and they look like flashy sports cars or whatever. But
Yeah.
hover car. Well, what you're describing, it sounds like one of those. Sounds like something out of one of those old 1930s, 1940s black and white sci-fi films. A car with
Yeah.
wings on it, as opposed
Yeah.
to what we've seen in Back to the Future Part 2, a car in which the actual hover device is on the side on the wheels of the car.
Exactly.
But would I want one?
yeah, if we had what was portrayed in the film, hell yeah, sign me up. I'll sell my firstborn child for one. Well, not really, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, thank you very much for being a part of this. I really appreciate it, dude. But,
Oh. Well, if you ever need my, even throw my 2 cents, or another person to interact with, I'm here. So, look forward to any future projects.
alrighty, man. Well, this has been Shadow the Oblivious.
And MrSevenDeadlySins.
And we say to you, nerds, nerdettes, gamers, and weirdos of the web, game the fuck on and party the fuck on. We're out. Peace!